Hello, my name is Jay Simmons. I'm a software engineer in the Active Directory team here at Microsoft. I'm here today to demo a new feature in Windows Local Administrator Password Solution, also known as Windows LAPS, related to improved integration with Safe Mode Boot, also known as Windows Recovery Mode. This talk assumes that you do have some basic familiarity with Windows LAPS. If you are brand new to Windows LAPS, I encourage you to review our online docs and consider watching the videos that you will find linked there. So on the screen we have a Windows 11 pre-release OS that is domain joined to a test domain. Note that the feature I am about to demo is only available in Windows Insider builds. So let's get started. So what is Safe Mode or Windows Recovery Mode? So this is a Windows boot mode that is intended to allow troubleshooting and other repair steps when the machine is not booting correctly into its normal mode. So the way this works is that after a certain number of crashes, or if you opted in to boot into this mode, you would be logged into a minimal environment that would allow you just to get in there and figure out what was going wrong. Maybe you took a bad driver update and you can't get back on the network, things like that. Now, the way this feature has worked for a long time in the history of Windows is that when you booted into Safe Mode, you would be presented with a logon menu of various local administrator accounts, and you would be asked to enter your password for one of those. Now, that authentication requirement has been recently removed by default in Windows 11, but it can be turned back on via the registry for those customers that want that. Now, why do we care about this for Windows LAPS? So it turns out that many Windows LAPS customers, they maintain their Windows LAPS managed account in a disabled state for improved security by default. And then when they do need to use the account, they modify the policy configuration of the device so that the managed account is then enabled and is available for use. Okay, so that's great, and that works very, very well. But if it does raise the chance that if you were to end up in a Safe Mode or Windows Recovery Boot Mode situation, and that was your only way to get back into the machine, and your Windows LAPS managed account was in a disabled state, what could you do? So what we've done is that we've made a change in Windows where if the device has a Windows LAPS managed account and that account is in a disabled state, during Windows Recovery Mode authentication, the account will automatically be enabled. So let's take a look at this machine that we're about to demo this on. So for the purposes of this demo, we're going to be configuring LAPS to manage this LAPS admin account. So there is a local admin account. I'm just going to delete him to get him out of the way. Yes, yes. And we're going to disable the LAPS admin account. Now, Windows LAPS itself doesn't care if your target account is enabled or disabled. We can continue to rotate the password either way, and right now it doesn't matter to us. Please note that the built-in administrator account is also disabled. In fact, every single one of the other local accounts, most of which are used for certain scenarios and aren't enabled until you're using those scenarios, but all the local accounts are disabled. So this is an excellent minimum risk posture to have your local accounts in, because this way there's just no chance that they will be used for security attacks. So we're going to minimize that. Now let's go configure the LAPS policy. So we're going to first enable the account name. And then we're going to configure the backup directory. So we're going to be backing up the password to Active Directory. This is an 80 join machine. I should point out at this point, that this feature has nothing to do with, is not affected by the directory you've chosen to back your passwords up to. If you choose to back them up to Azure Active Directory, the safe mode integration feature I'm about to demo will work just as well. So we're going to say OK. At this point, Laps should have updated the password in Active Directory. Let's just make sure. And 1237, yep, so just updated it a minute ago. All right, so now I did mention earlier that the authentication requirement in safe mode boot, or aka Windows recovery mode, has been removed in recent builds. It is possible to restore it with a reg key, which we're about to add right now. So I'm going to do that right now. And I should point out that this policy setting, this registry setting, is also configurable via the security CSP for Intune managed devices. One last thing about the traditional behavior of safe mode. So there was code in safe mode so that when getting ready to present the authentication screen, they would enumerate all the local accounts on the device, and if all of them were disabled, it would automatically treat the built-in admin account as enabled. So what you're now going to see is that although all of the accounts are disabled, the only one that it will enable is the Laps managed account, Laps admin. All right, so we have a couple more steps to do here. We have to tell the OS to force it to boot into recovery mode at the next step. And off screen, I'm going to retrieve the password for the managed account. So we can get that ready for use here in a second. All right, so the last step. So we've got all of our accounts. They're all disabled. We've updated the password on the Laps admin account. We've told the OS that we want to be authenticated when booting into safe mode, and we've told the OS to boot into safe mode on the next boot. So let's do it. All right, so this is typically what you'll see when booting initially into recovery mode. This will just take us back to normal boot, but we want to do some troubleshooting, or pretend we're about to do troubleshooting. And we'll go to Advanced Options, and we want the command prompt. And here is the authentication screen that I was referring to before. So you'll notice now that we are only presented with the option to use the Laps managed account. And it's going to ask us for the password. Now I'm going to enter the lapsed rotated password, which I have copied and saved off screen. Voila. All right. So this is a very short demo, but again, I think it's a good example of what we can do to help improve how Windows Laps scenarios and managed accounts work in integration with the rest of the OS, now that Windows Laps is a native part of Windows. If you are a customer that is maintaining your Windows Laps managed accounts in a disabled state, this feature gives you a little bit more assurance that those accounts will be there for you and available for use no matter what. If you haven't been keeping your Windows Laps accounts in a disabled state because of the lack of this sort of a feature, this might be now something you can consider moving forward. If you have any feedback on this feature, please feel free to email me at jsimmons@microsoft.com, jsimmons@microsoft.com. Thank you for your time.